I'm just getting my Honda mower out for the first time for 2019. I've had this now for 5 years, so I figured I'd do a little bit of a review on it and show a few modifications that I've made and a couple of parts that I've had to replace on it. I got this from Home Depot in 2014. It was a return. It was normally 500 bucks, and I got it for $350. It's the model that has the electric start. You can see the starting motor here, and it has the battery pack. This year, I thought the battery's completely dead right now, which isn't a surprise. It's been sitting in the shed all winter. But I just took it out of the shed. I checked to make sure that I changed the oil last fall, and it's nice and clean. The air filter, I checked that, and I just noticed that this little clip right here is starting to be a little bit loose, like it doesn't want to engage completely. So at some point I might think about replacing this cover. Other than that, last year, after 4 years, I did replace the rear wheels. The tread was completely worn off of them. Another modification I had to do, these little locks to lock the handlebar in place. There's a pin in there that holds the plastic knob onto another pin or a shaft, and twice I have lost, these have fallen apart and gotten lost in the yard. If not the whole thing, little pieces of it's where it's not usable. So a nice thing is you can get replacement parts for these mowers, but this has been lost twice. So the last time I replaced them, I got some fine wire and ran it through that little pin in there and just ran it around a couple times and twisted it off. That way it can't get lost again. I highly recommend that if you have this mower or are getting one or whatever, that you do that so you don't lose these knobs. Just one day they just will vibrate off and get lost in the yard. So that's a modification that I made. Another modification is there used to be a normal bolt with a nut right here, and that would always get caught on my chain link fences. I have this style of fence, and I try to mow close to it, and this would always get snagged, and it would put a kink in the fence, slow you down while you're mowing. Kind of frustrating. I'm going to pause and show that to you now. Let's see here if I can. Here's one of the spots on the chain link fence where the bolt snagged, and here, and I spotted another one right down here someplace. So I don't know where it is, but they're all over the circumference of our yard, so it's pretty frustrating. So I highly recommend omitting the bolt with a nut on it, and you can get these at I think I got this at Ace Hardware. I think you can get them at Home Depot, and it does take a little bit of, you have to change a round hole to a square hole, so that takes a few minutes. I can't remember if I did that with a file. It seems like I took a square bolt extractor and even hammered it in there to help form that square, and it was a bit of a challenge, but it's so much nicer to have that like that. One other modification, this isn't any big deal, but it has the safety trigger release here. If you let go, it kills the mower. Sometimes I want to stop the mower for just a couple of seconds, and I want to pick up a dog toy or a stick or something, and I don't want to shut the mower off. So I just put a zip tie here. It's on there kind of loosely, and whenever I want to pause, I just, I can leave the mower running like that, and then when I'm done, I always make sure to put that back in case I do have an emergency that this will shut off. Aside from that, let's see, I did the tires, the zip tie, the bolt, and this modification. That's about it. I sharpen the blade every couple times a year, and it's been an excellent mower. Let's see, there's one more thing. Flip the mower inside. There has been a couple of times where the drive belt has slipped off in the middle of mowing. It didn't happen last year, but maybe once the year before, maybe twice the year before that, and I've had to loosen this bolt, just put the drive belt back on. That's kind of frustrating, but it's not a hard repair, so just be aware that can happen. Aside from that, it's been an awesome mower. I'm going to pause the video, put some fuel in it, and we're going to see how hard it is to start for the first time this season. I'd like to add before I start this here that I only use premium unleaded gas from, we have a Quick Trip here that sells premium unleaded with no ethanol. Only one or two of the Quick Trips in the area have that. You have to search around. We also have Hy-Vee here, and they have unleaded gas with no ethanol. However, it shares a hose with the regular ethanol gas, and so it's my belief that your first bit of gas you pump from it will have ethanol in it. So I try to go to the Quick Trip where it has a dedicated hose. So I'm going to pull this back and use my zip tie and see if I can get this started with one hand while I film. And remember to turn on the fuel here. I'm going to give it a second to let the fuel go into the carb. Hopefully that's enough. So there you have it. Wow, check it out. It was the one pull after sitting for, I don't know, 5 months. We had a long winter. Just put gas in it, turned on the fuel, pulled it, and there it goes. You saw that it was burning a little bit of oil. I do put some oil in the cylinder to store it over the winter, but I'm always impressed. The trick, what I do in the fall is I drain the gas tank completely, drain the carb completely. I do put a little bit of oil in the cylinder, and it's always started right away for me in the next spring. I've never used any type of stabilizer or fuel, the stable or anything like that. Just drain it completely in the fall, put fresh gas in the spring, and it fires right up. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. 5-year review. This is the electric starting version of the Honda mower, and it's an HRR2 169 VLA, and I believe they still make these, or one very similar to them. I think they updated the paint job this year. But thanks for watching, guys.